Hello, my friends. Welcome to Dallas, where the countdown to that American election. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Closer, closer, closer. Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote. We have got a massive show for you tonight. Obviously, we are going to talk about the election in great detail, but I want to show you some of the cool things about this city. This city is spectacular. Sure, it's not better than any of our town cities, but it's got cool little pockets, it's got rock and roll everywhere, and of course, plenty of history. Now, to talk about the history of the place, but also to talk about the election, we went to the stockyards over at Cowtown, over at Fort Worth. In a moment or two's time, you'll see some of the fun that we have there. What about those beautiful Texas Longhorns? I didn't see a Texas Longhorn until we actually went to Charters Towers. To see him here in Dallas in their home patch, pretty amazing. Our mate James Morrow, well, he is, of course, all across issues to do with the border. He has been all over swing states like North Carolina with the US report. We will have a chat to the great man in a moment or two's time. And looking forward to a conversation with Freya Leach and with Sam Crosby in moments from now. But first, couple of days to go. Let's find out what was the best thing that happened to Trump today, the best thing that happened to Harris, and the weirdest moment of the day. All right. First and most importantly, you may well have heard this story about 7 trillion times since we last spoke.
And it comes as we're getting that striking new poll out of Iowa. Dasha mentioned it. What can you tell us about that?
Wow, this has thrown the political world for a loop.
I think it absolutely lines up with what we're seeing on the ground. We're watching an energy.
I didn't have this on my bingo card, as I like to say.
Oh, here in the States, everywhere, all over Iowa, this poll, it's 6 electoral vote. What's going to happen? Is this the canary in the coal mine? Is Trump officially done? After that, the New York Times drops in with a whole bunch of polls as well that show Harris up in places where she was previously down, Trump a little bit back in places where he was already in front. Why am I mentioning this as the best thing that happened to Trump today? No, I'm not clutching at straws, but the polls themselves are something I need to tell you about and a problem that is with them. OK, this does not mean, for those that are half watching, that are running off to the umpire and saying to the ghost, there he is saying that Trump was going to win when Harris was going to. Listen, OK, here's the deal. They were wrong in 2016. They were wrong in 2020. And according to, once you go right into the detail, this is why I'm here, right into the detail, you see that in the New York Times polls where the headlines show that Harris is up and Trump is a little bit down, they've got a problem with the people who are answering the polls. Have a look. This is written by Nate Cohen. Nate Cohen is their data guy who interprets the polls, also helps put the polls together for the New York Times, and says, across these polls, white Democrats were 16% likelier to respond than white Republicans. So put simply, there are more Democrats in the poll than Republicans, and it's harder to get Republicans. And even then, she's only up by 1 point here and 1 point there. Now, this is a larger disparity than the earlier polls this year, and it is not much better than our final polls in 2020. OK, now, that's why this is the best thing that happened to Trump today, because we are seeing some of the signs that maybe the polls that were wrong twice before are undercounting his vote for the third time, which is why the Trump campaign says the best thing that happened to them today was not a poll out of Iowa. It was not the front page of the New York Times. It's the poll they prefer. But I'm not just showing you this because Trump is leading. This was the most accurate pollster in 2020. When people like the New York Times were sort of right off the mark, this poll in particular, the people at Atlas Intel, it shows that Trump is winning in all of the swing states right now. So the best thing that happened to Trump today was the polls are probably going to be wrong for a third time running. If that's the case, then he is in with one heck of a shot of not just winning, but maybe a big one. For the best thing that happened to Harris today, no, it wasn't another celebrity. It wasn't another $1 billion that were raised for her campaign. It, again, is this Iowa poll. Why? Because the media freakout of the past 24 hours here is unbelievable. Now, every part of the establishment media, right? I'm not going to buggerise around with mainstream media anymore. Establishment media, access media, well, they, of course, have been all in for Harris through the whole campaign. And in these final days, it really does feel like every one of them is trying to do their bit to get the result that they desperately want. And, of course, that means that the smallest things like this bit of information, it is just blown up to be, frankly, bigger than it looks. but an example of just how effective it has been and how kind of some of the panic has been around for people who thought that Trump was going to win, but maybe this poll was going to say Harris is up. Have a look at the betting markets in the last 3 days. Now, I need to tell you, these betting markets, by the way, have the close to $2 billion worth of money that people have already bet. Now, as you can see, 3 days ago, Trump 63%, Harris 37%, then to 58.42, then 56.44. Oh, yeah. And this kind of helped Harris too today.
To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind.
I love the Donald. I want him to win, but come on, that's too much. I know he's trying to rev people up, but yeah, not a great day for him on the campaign trail.